were somewhere around Barstow, on the edge of the desert, when the drugs began to take hold.
You're either in or you're out. Right now.
I want to gamble.
I never want to hear those words out of your mouth again.
Gambling is not your problem.
Has anybody ever told you before your bad luck?
Most gamblers, when they go to gamble, they go to win.
Those were my mother's dying words.
When we go to gamble, we go to lose. Show me the money.
Let's get out of here, man.
Show you the money.
Honestly, let's just go. Let's go to Vegas.
Look at you back in that, Jerry. I want you to say what you would mean it, brother. Show me the money!
It's the Sports Memory Vegas pregame show.
Good morning, all. Welcome to week 5 of college football. We are a month into the season, and things are starting to shape up. But before we get started, let me welcome back Newman. You made it back from Ireland. Real quick, tell the people, what was your favorite part of Ireland?
Kinsale was really cool. There's just lots of beer, lots of Guinness everywhere you go, on tap. So yeah, you can't run out of that. And we saw like a rugby match, went to Old Heads golf course. I don't know. The whole trip was awesome.
That sounds absolutely epic. You had me at sports and drinking. If you can center a trip around sports and drinking, twist, you don't have to twist my arm. But again, if you're new to the show, what we do here is we cover 11 of the best college football games of the week. Why 11? Because no one is pushing in this.
There's 11 starters on the field for every team, man. Come on.
Exactly. And we're going to pick against the spread because guess what? This is also a gambling show, people. We want to make you money and we want to make money. So we will be picking against the spread. It will be me, myself, and Trevor. Trevor cannot make it this morning because Trevor is on his way to Tallahassee to watch the Seminoles defend home turf against the Demon Deacons. We will get to that game later, but let's start in my neck of the woods, Big Ten country. Number 4, Michigan, who has looked absolutely like dogs. They have looked like just beasts all season. J.J. McCarthy looks like the 5-star coming in, but it's at Iowa. It's at Kinnick. Kinnick is absolutely the host of upsets. They've covered the last 5 times a top 10 program has come into their building, and they've covered the last 3 times Michigan has came into their building. I actually didn't make my pick, so they couldn't see it, but I'm going Iowa. Newman, are you tailing me?
I'm not telling you, but I'm not taking Iowa either. So my read on this game is that, yes, Iowa normally covers, but Iowa also normally beats Iowa State. They didn't do that this year. I think, honestly, Iowa's offense has regressed. Spencer Petras is probably worse than he was when he arrived on campus, which is tough because he was already pretty bad. Now he just looks even worse. Iowa's only chance to really keep this close is to create some turnovers and special teams, and they're really good on both sides of the in those both aspects of the game. However, they can't score, and Michigan can. Michigan has really good running backs and Blake Corum. They have J.J. McCarthy there. They're just loaded in terms of like high talent all over the place. Iowa, while they're well coached defensively and stuff, they are more likely to make mistakes. And Michigan
11 points, though. 11 points at home.
I don't know if Iowa scores an offensive point. So there's that.
There is, and I am also picking Spencer Petras.
Right.
This could be one that I'm looking at Sunday morning saying, why the hell did I pick Spencer Petras?
Yeah, and I think that Michigan their defense is just as good as Iowa's. So I think that Iowa may have a hard time scoring. And yes, Michigan may have to win by 11 points, but they may only have to score 14 to do that. So yeah.
There we go. Michigan or Newman picking a 14-0 Michigan win. He is on the record. The read receipts are out there.
Could be 14-2.
Let's jump to a game that's going to be way more exciting. This is one of my favorite matchups of the day. Number 7, Kentucky, traveling to the Grove. That is Ole Miss. Number 14, Ole Miss, giving a touchdown to the higher ranked team. The over under at 53.5. I actually love the over in this, Newman. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. I'm going, even though I love the Lane train, I love that he switched up his offense, going with more of a running attack. But Newman, you know I've been all over UK the past 2 seasons. That's not stopping in this game. I think Kentucky wins this by about 9, 12, maybe 13 points. Give me Stoops and the Wildcats to beat Lane at home. I just love me some Will Levis, that big weirdo. What do you think?
You're probably getting some pretty good juice on that, considering Kentucky's getting 7 points. So I'll take the points here. I mean, it's very possible that Ole Miss wins this game at home, but 7 points is too much. I think Kentucky's they're good on defense. Their offensive line sometimes has a little bit of issues, but Ole Miss is basically untested to this point, whereas Kentucky has actually played at least one quality opponent in Florida. So I think that Kentucky, just you're going to get less ups and downs with this team. They're more consistent, and them traveling on the road, more senior laden, not as many transfers dealing with and stuff like that. I expect them to go in there and have a good performance, and I will take Kentucky to cover the 7 points.
And that is a full sweep for all of us on UK. So Wildcat fans, you might want to worry. Let's travel down to Texas with number 18, Oklahoma, going to TCU. TCU is getting 6.5 points, being a home team. Newman, Venables just gave up 41 to Kansas State. Is there any worry there?
No, because TCU is not Kansas State. Kansas State, so the style of offense that they play is really interesting. They go for it a lot on 4th downs and those kinds of decisions. So TCU has not played like that. They're going to throw the ball around a little bit more, whereas Kansas State's just running the ball. And Kansas State can actually play some defense. I don't think TCU can. So Oklahoma has, pretty good quarterback, good offensive system. Dylan Gabriel, Jeff Lebby as the offensive coordinator there. And then you have Brent Venables as their head coach, who's, really good defensive coordinator. Yes, that team is still not necessarily, he hasn't flipped the roster in terms of what he wants it to be, but I think they'll still be good enough to beat TCU, and they really don't have to beat them by a touchdown here. So I will take Oklahoma, and I will lay the points. I think that they get it done here.
That is another sweep. We are all taking Oklahoma. Sorry, Sooner fans. Let's jump back to the Big Ten, where 2-2 Purdue, who was one of the favorites, if not the favorite, to win the Big Ten West, going to Minneapolis, number 21 Minnesota. Purdue is getting 12 points with an over-under of 52. Purdue's season is very much in the air. Minnesota is 4-0 against the spread. Tanner Morgan is absolutely rocking. Purdue has not been able to find a way to replace the pressure that George Karlaftis. I think Minnesota keeps rowing that boat, and they win by about 14 to 17 points. Give me Minnesota. Newman, are we making this 3 sweeps in a row because Trevor is also on the Gophers?
So I actually selected Minnesota to win the West before the season started. If you recall, if you go back,
yes, you did.
Yes, you did. Our podcast to open the season there, or a preview. However, I think 12 points is a little too much. I do like the over here, 52. I don't think that's enough. Purdue can really score. They have, they run a high flying system. They're going to put up some points, and I think that they will be able to cover 12 points, even if it's a backdoor, in order to get to it. But yeah, 12 points is just too much for me in terms of this game. I do think Minnesota's a really good team. Kirk Shiraka has this team, back. He's back in Minnesota there, and because of it, Tanner Morgan, who was like, "Oh, come back in 2 years and I'll still be here hanging around." and we'll see what we can do. And it looks like they're playing really well. I do expect Minnesota to win this game, but I think Purdue can cover 12. So give me
Purdue here in Indiana, like Purdue country is very worried about this game. If it can be a must-win game in early October, that's what it is for Purdue, for sure. Let's bounce back to the Big 12. We got Texas Tech going to those pesky Kansas State Wildcats, who are now ranked at number 25 in the country after the upset last week. They are giving 8 points to the Red Raiders, and the over-under is 57.5. Man, I watched a lot of Adrian Martinez at Nebraska. Maybe it was a Nebraska thing, because you know what? I think Kansas State and Adrian Martinez have found something. 8 points is a lot, but give me Kansas State here. I hate how much I am following Trevor this week, but Trevor is also on the Wildcats. Newman, are you making a sweep this time?
Well, I thought Trevor was killing it. Isn't that what you guys were boasting about last week? And then what did he do? Oh, yeah, that's right. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going to take Texas Tech in the points here. Texas Tech is another team that is going for it a lot on fourth down. They're coming off an upset of Texas. So there's potential for a little bit of a letdown here. However, I think this is going to kind of be a bloodbath. But I think that Texas Tech is going to be able to keep it close enough to cover the 8 points. There's a chance they win this game outright.
Wow. Let me check the money line. Keep going on that.
Kansas State did lose to, I think, Tulane two weeks ago. So, I mean, I think Texas Tech's a better team than them. Donovan Smith's a pretty good quarterback, even though he is their backup. He's not Tyler Shuh. But, I mean, this Texas Tech team, like, defensive line, they manhandled Texas' offense last week. And I mean, I think that this is a really good team. They believe in what, their coach is doing there. And I think that they have a chance to pull an upset here on the road against Kansas State. But regardless, I'll take the 8 points.
Yeah, that's plus 240 if you want to go Texas Tech to win. That is almost 3-1. Newman, I feel like you might be texting me later to lock that bet in. We will see.
Possibility.
Let's get to the stinky line of the week. Oregon State at beautiful Utah Stadium, number 12 Utah in the country. Utah is minus 10 here with an over-under of 54.5. I've explained it in the last few weeks. Utah needs to absolutely blow teams out if they want to get back, so they are out for blood. But Oregon State is 4-0 against the spread. I don't get this spread, and when I don't get a spread, I am following Vegas. So give me Oregon State here. It goes against kind of everything I know, but I'm just going to follow Vegas on this one, Newman. Am I dumb for doing so?
So last week, Trevor said that I was jumping on the Utah bandwagon or something.
You started the Utah bandwagon.
You may have missed the fact that I've been on the Utah bandwagon, all season. However, 10 points, like you said, is too many points here. Oregon State's really good. Donovan Smith has that team playing at a different level. He's actually a coach that's kind of wants to be in Oregon State and Corvallis. There's not a lot of guys that you can say that about, but he seems to be one of them. And this team just plays really well around him. Last week they played it close against USC, I believe. So Utah, I don't think that they're significantly better than USC. I do think that they're a better team, but 10 points is just too many here. So I will take Oregon State to keep it close. Give me the 10 points.
Yep, I'm totally with you there. Does that make you nervous that I followed you on that one? Are you questioning that anymore?
Not so much, because I know how Trevor does his picks, and he's on the other side. So
there we go. All right, let's jump to the SEC. Number 2 Bama going into Pig Suey. Number 20 Arkansas. Newman, Arkansas finally lost me money. It's been about a season and a third since Arkansas has cost me money. I bet against Jimbo Fisher, and I lost. You know what, Arkansas? I forgive you.
Yeah.
I forgive KJ Jefferson. Give me Arkansas to cover 17 points. Over under at 61, I also think is low. I like the over if you can believe it. So I'm taking Arkansas plus 17 and over 61 points. Newman, do you like it?
So here's my read on this game just a little bit. Last week was kind of fluky. Obviously, KJ Jefferson has that weird fumble near the goal line that results in Texas A&M doing like a handoff between their defensive players on the fumble return and scores a touchdown. And then I believe we got an upright hit in that game that wound up costing Arkansas. So, I mean, it easily could have gone the other way. Jimbo got lucky as per usual. But Alabama has had trouble covering against quality opponents on the road. And so if you look at, over the last, I think 10 games, something like that, they've really only won a couple of them. Arkansas, it's going to be a raucous crowd there. They're, pulling out all the money. KJ Jefferson's doing Walmart commercials because Walmart backs Arkansas. So you get all that Wally World love. And 17 points is just way too many for Alabama to cover on the road here, in my opinion. I think KJ Jefferson's a really good quarterback. They're going to be able to keep up with Alabama in terms of scoring. Will Anderson may make a play. It's very, very likely. I'm not going to take Arkansas to win this game. I do think Alabama wins, but 17 points is just too many here. So give me Arkansas, and I believe that puts us at a sweep.
Yes, that does. We are all taking Pig Suey. I love it. You just let me down once. I always give second chances. Let's go back to the Big 12 with also a really good matchup. Newman, I love the board this week. Today is going to be freaking fantastic. There's
a lot of good games.
There's a lot of good games today. We have number 9 Oklahoma State Cowboys traveling to Waco. Number 16 Baylor. The home team is the favorite here by 2 points with the over-under of 56.5. Newman, Oklahoma State can absolutely score points. But Baylor's got a really nice defense. So you have a little bit of strength for strength here. But when you're talking Big 12, the offense normally wins out in these matchups. I'm loving Oklahoma State this year. So I've picked against Baylor this year, and I'm going to continue that trend. Give me Gundy and the high-flying Cowboys.
Yeah, so Oklahoma State, once again, the higher-ranked team on the road as an underdog. I think there's a chance they win this game outright. I don't think Baylor's like a place that you're scared to go play at. It's not exact far travel for Oklahoma State. And these are two teams that are very comparably matched. So I think I want to be on the other side here. Give me the couple extra points, whatever. I do think Oklahoma State can win this game outright. And Spencer Sanders is playing some of his best ball yet. So I think that there's a good chance here for Oklahoma State to win this game.
All right, let's get to the game most listeners want to hear about. Let's get to the game I know you want to talk about. I'm going to keep it very short here. Number 22, Wake Forest, traveling to Tallahassee. Florida State as a 7-point favorite with an over-under of 64 points. You probably have a better read on the weather conditions and the field conditions. I'll let you go on to that. But I know you're a big Travis guy. I'm taking the better quarterback. 7 points is a lot of points. The running back for Florida State, Ward, he's the X factor for me.
He's a walk-on, right?
I think you've said that a few times. But I'm just going to take Hartman. I've been on Hartman for the past 2 years. I can't stop now. Give me Wake Forest at +7. But I'll admit, out of all these games, this is the one that I'm least confident about. Is Florida State this good? Is Hartman back? There's a lot of question marks going into this game. Newman, what's your analysis for this ACC matchup?
Yeah, so Wake is coming off a double overtime game against Clemson. I expected Clemson to be able to win by more than 7 points, and they failed to do so in that one, partially because of a weird extra point decision by Dabo Sweeney in overtime that made absolutely no sense. But anyway, so yeah, Sam Hartman is really good. He's like a 7th-year junior. I think he's still listed as a junior for some reason, which is insane. In terms of weather,
so much hate.
In in terms of weather, I do think that Vegas pushed this line down because the over-under is only 64. I think that there's a great chance for this to exceed that. So I love the overplay here. I think Florida State's going to win this game. I think they're the better, well-rounded team. I think that Wake Forest is going to have trouble stopping Florida State from running the ball. They're also going to have trouble stopping Florida State from passing the ball. Florida State's probably going to lean on the run to try to slow the game down a little bit and reduce the amount of possessions that Wake Forest has. They're also going to play, too high and force Sam Hartman to give on the slow mesh read instead of, hitting those good wide receivers that he has over top. So I expect that to kind of neutralize Wake Forest a little bit, but 7 points is too many. So give me Wake to cover the 7 points.
I feel like you're doing this just so you can be even happier. Like, I feel like I know Trevor picked Wake Forest because he's forever the pessimist.
Yes.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked you are picking Wake Forest here.
I just think that Wake has played a lot of really close games. When they lose, they normally don't get blown out, and I don't expect that to happen here. Like I said, I expect Florida State to win this game. However, I think Wake Forest is good enough to keep it close and cover the 7 points. But the play here, if you're gambling at home, is over. Take the over in this game because 64 is way too low. This game's probably going to be played with both teams scoring at least in the 30s, if not in the 40s, and 64. That's not enough.
It's going to be a really, really fun game. I can't wait. I loved putting this outline together because I wanted you to talk Florida State and then go right into Jimbo Fisher because I'm sick. I'm sick in the head like that.
I do have a question. Why were we talking about Oklahoma State and Baylor? I mean, I know I forced you guys to do that, right? Even though you're even making the game, somehow I'm forcing you to pick and talk about games that you don't want to talk about.
Number 17, the Fighting Jimbo Fishers going into Mississippi State. Mississippi State, the unranked team, is a 4-point favorite here. But Mississippi State's played absolutely no one, and Texas A&M is pretty battle-tested. I'm taking Jimbo Fisher. I picked against him last week. I won't do the same thing. I'm taking him actually money line. This is my upset of the week. It took 10 games to get to it, but I am picking A&M to pull off the upset in the conference matchup. Newman, are you with me?
I think there's a good chance that A&M can win this game. However, the smart play is here to just take the points. Mississippi State, they play a little bit up and down. They definitely have trouble with teams that have really good defenses, and say what you will about Texas A&M, they have a good defense. So, I mean, I expect them to be able to, kind of slow down Mississippi State in that air raid attack that they want to run. I don't know that Mississippi State's going to be able to really slow down Texas A&M running the ball if they actually, lean on that a little bit there. But if Jimbo finds a way to get some of his elite, offensive skill position players the ball in space, they would run this game out like they would destroy Mississippi State. However, Jimbo doesn't play like that, and that's why it stays close. But 4 points, they're going to be able to cover that. So give me Texas A&M to cover. I'm taking a lot of points this week. I think that's just the smart play.
And it's just the fun play. Like we have in our intro, life's too short to bet the under. Let's end this thing before we get to the Newman 2-minute drill. Back in the ACC, we got your boy Drew Leary and the NC State Wolfpack. Devin, Drew, tomato. Traveling to number 5, Clemson and Ukulele, 6.5-point favorites. Newman, if you like points, I don't think you'll like this game. Because I think the over-under at 43, I think is about right. I'm not touching this over and under. But Clemson is 1-4 against the spread. You don't see the number 5 team in the country as 1-4 against the spread, and they have the lesser quarterback. So for that, I'm taking NC State. I can't go as far as making this an upset, but 6.5 points is too. I think this is a field goal game. This honestly could be another overtime game, honestly. I think this is going to be a really, really good game. But give me the team that is better against the spread and the better quarterback to at least cover. I've been, for again, a season and a third, I've been picking against NC State. But you know what? You've talked about them enough to have me join the Wolfpack bandwagon.
Yeah, so I think there's a chance NC can win this game outright. Like you said, going to Clemson. Clemson's coming off a double overtime victory over Wake Forest, where their offense finally came alive. However, Wake Forest defense sucks. NC State's defense does not. So these are probably two of the better defenses that you're going to see in the country in general. And I expect this game to kind of be fairly low scoring. That being said, giving 6.5 points, so just under a full touchdown, an extra point. I'll take NC State getting those points. Devin Leary can, if he has to backdoor it, he can backdoor it. He's capable of it. When they actually let them play some offense there, their offense coordinator sucks balls. Tim Beck, you may have heard of him.
Don't hold back, Newman. Don't hold back.
So, if he was not the offense coordinator at NC State, they'd probably be murdering a lot more teams than they are, and they'd be a lot higher than 10. But because of that and him, kind of just putting a ball and chain on Devin Leary's ankles and not allowing him to really play, they haven't been blowing anybody out. But they're not going to be able to play that against Clemson. And if Clemson does have the lead, I expect them to unleash him, and he'll be able to get them within the 6.5 points. Should that be the case? But there's a halfway decent chance here that NC State is just winning this game from start to finish.
Because, I feel like I may be getting a text here soon about that as well.
Yeah, their defense is really good. And Clemson showed some, they showed some cracks last week against Wake Forest. So we'll see how it plays out. But I like NC State. I think there's a good chance that they actually win this game outright.
I don't hate it. I absolutely don't hate it at all. Newman, I think this is the best week of matchup so far. I'm only picking 11, but you also have 5 other matchups that I think are pretty mint and need to be talked about. So let's put 2 minutes on the clock. We got Newman's 2-minute drill. Hit me.
Yeah, so just some interesting that you can find some value in. Illinois at Wisconsin. Wisconsin's coming off a terrible performance against Ohio State. Illinois actually has a really good defense. I think one of their linebackers is a potential first-round draft pick. And Wisconsin just beating them by 7 points, I don't see that happening, especially with Graham Mertz playing as awfully as he does. So I expect this to be a very much so ground and pound game, probably decided by a field goal. There's a good chance that Illinois wins outright. So I'm on the Illini here.
You're picking Illinois, even though IU beat Illinois?
Yes, because IU should not have beat Illinois. That was a fluke. But yeah, they've played better over the last several games. And like I said, Wisconsin is coming off a tough loss to Ohio State, and I don't know if they're going to be able to get up for this game. So Michigan State at Maryland. Michigan State, if you've been paying attention, their secondary can't cover shit, and Maryland has an offense that is fun and can put up points with the other Tagovailoa there. So
Talia.
Yeah, so give me Maryland to cover more than 7.5. I will lay those points happily because Michigan State can't fucking stop anything that has a resemblance of a passing game. Iowa State at Kansas. Kansas is getting 3 points at home. They should be ranked. I don't understand this at all. Give me Kansas all day. They're going to win this game outright. Jalen Daniels is borderline Heisman candidate, and this Kansas football team has played really well. Lance Leipold's got them rolling, and they just find a way to win. No matter where he's been, at every level, whether it's Wisconsin, Whitewater, Buffalo, and now at Kansas, he always puts together winning programs, and I would not be surprised if he's no longer at Kansas come next year because somebody's going to poach him. But give me Kansas.
Could he go to Nebraska?
I think it's possible.
Nebraska
Or Georgia.
Very possible.
Yep.
Very possible. Let's jump to the Big 12.
Yeah. So staying here in the Big 12, West Virginia at Texas. I don't think West Virginia is any good. Give me Texas, lay the 10, and then Stanford at Oregon. I think that Stanford is, they've actually made a little bit of a shift here. They actually are starting to run some of that slow match that Wake Forest runs. They're picking up their tempo a little bit, and because of that, I think they'll be able to backdoor their way into covering 17 against Oregon. So give me Stanford plus the 17. I think Oregon's good, but they also have Bo Nix, and sometimes that can lead to giving up a few extra points when you don't need to.
Absolutely. You went a little over 2 minutes, but also I couldn't shut up. So we'll give you some mulligan time. What do they call it in what do they call that in soccer? Extra time?
Extra time, yeah.
Yeah, so you definitely get some extra time for me interjecting in the Big Ten games because I can't help myself. All right, everyone, thank you for staying for our show. Again, I think there's some real money to be made. But even if you aren't gambling, this is the best slate of football yet this year. Fall, it's October. Fall is here. Go watch some football. Have some drinks. Drink responsibly. Newman, welcome back. I missed you. Let's go win some money.
Yeah, just take $100, everyone, spread it out, play a bunch of money lines on some of these dogs, and you're bound to hit a bunch of these because there's a lot of dogs that are going to win.
Chaos. All right, Newman. Till next time.
See you.
Take it easy.